I'm Gayle Marsh. Welcome to Exploring the Human Journey.
Exploring the Human Journey.
Hi, and welcome to the show today. I have Dr. Lori C. Ebert with me, and I have Ina Mlekush with me, and we are going to have so much fun today. It is going to be the feminine talk today. Recently, we were able to spend some time with them, and I would like to share this video with you.
As a health educator, I just want people to be healthy. I want them to prevent disease. I want to intervene, and I want to educate them. When I talk about sexy, I talk about it from a place that I have walked this talk. And even though it was natural, I had all these circumstances in life that blocked it. And so as I started to get back in touch with it again, I just started thinking about, well, what does make me feel sexy? Why not live in a sexy place? When you feel sexy, everything just, you know, like when you've had a really good meal, or you've had really good sex, or you just had a great coffee with a friend and you're just vibrating high. Well, that's how sexy makes me feel. And I'm like, that's how I want to feel all the time. So I started doing anything I could to feel like that. Shoes are one of my favorite things. I put undergarments on. I do it a lot with food. I'll just buy what feels good, and I'll lay it all out on my kitchen counter, and I will touch the food. I will look at all the colors. I'll feel the textures. Like, I get, probably if somebody was watching me in my house, they'd be like, what is this woman doing? But it's mindfulness. You have to feel good from the inside. And when you feel good from the inside, then it's easier to be sexy. So it's the embodiment of erotic ecstasy and enjoying the pleasures of our body with a partner and making love to life.
My name is Ina Mlekush, and I am a marriage, relationship, and sex counselor. I love working with couples, doesn't matter the age. I have worked with women who would like to have an orgasm. They're not sure that they do have orgasms. They would like to be more comfortable in their body. They would like to learn how to have a female ejaculation. I'm very honest and I'm very straight with my clients, and I don't like wasting time or money. So much of what we're taught, it just doesn't work. And then we wonder why a relationship after so many years gets kind of boring and the spark is not there. So just like a career that you dedicate so much time and energy to, well, you need to do the same thing with a relationship. Being able to ask for what you want and not being so frightened that if you ask for it, your partner is going to go screaming in the other room or ask for a divorce. So we're to come together in order to evolve and grow, for our soul to grow. And we cannot separate our sexual energy from our spiritual energy. In those moments when we are making love, the whole world drops away. And when it doesn't, then we usually don't have an orgasm because our brain is thinking about other things. You really need to get the brain working with you, thinking of something sensual, something that arouses you. Because if you don't give your brain something to think about, guess what? It's going to be thinking about the laundry you didn't do, or the weekend coming up and the family coming over. Our brain is a muscle and it works 24/7. And using the fantasy, keeping the brain focused on this is a sensual, sexual, sacred experience that we are having.
That was awesome. Oh my goodness. I would like you ladies to introduce yourselves. How about if we start with you, Dr. Lori?
So I consider myself a behavior modification coach. My doctorate is in health ed, and so I'm an expert at behavior change, and I specialize in relationships and sexuality. And I'm a former host of the Sexuality podcast. I am a TEDx speaker, and I work with men, women, couples, everybody to really unleash the sexy, playful passion for toe curling ecstasy.
I love it.
A little bit of everything.
Nice. And Ina, would you share with us?
I'd be happy to. So I am a marriage, relationship, and sex counselor, and I have my master's in transpersonal psychology, and I was licensed in California, and here in Arizona, I am also certified as an ASEC, which is the American Association of Sexual Educators, Counselors, and Therapists. So I'm a sex counselor certified. I am a hypnotherapist. I'm a metaphysical minister. I write monthly articles. I've been doing that for about 10 years in a local magazine here about relationships and spiritual sexuality. Mm-hmm. And I am a senior teacher of the Shulakoi Kwadoshka Spiritual Sexuality Body of Knowledge. It comes out of the ancient Mayan and Toltec traditions.
Oh, wow. Ooh. I think we've got a lady mentor here for us today.
Sage wisdom.
Wow.
Sage
wisdom. Very much.
Well, we have the wisdom of all three of us,
Yes.
and it will be great to share it with the audience.
I am looking forward to that. So I was thinking today and kind of meditating on where do we want to go with this show today. There's powerhouse of women here, right? And I think one of the places I think I'd like to start is really the fear of sexuality. Where does that come from? And I know for me, kind of where it came out for me as, being very young and not having the education about it. Like my parents never really talked to me about it. And so my first experience was in the back of a truck, not knowing what's happening. And next thing I know, apparently I lost my virginity and something happened, but I was too drunk to remember why. And so, that's how it started for me. And from then on out, I didn't know quite how to handle that. Besides, it almost became a tool for me because I figured I could start manipulating guys with it.
Whoa, there's a lot in that. I've never had a fear of sexuality. For me, it was a very comfortable, I've had traumatic experiences, but I think that's why I can do this, because I've always been very comfortable in the world of sexuality. But I think my experience with coaching clients is the thing I see the biggest fear either comes from trauma or from religion. It's really traditional religion paradigms instills that fear, but that's what I see. I don't know.
Well, unlike you, my first sexual experience was actually when I was about 9 years old, and this is a fairly normal age for molestation to take place. Oh. And it was my father who molested me, crawling into bed with me, using my legs to masturbate. And I thought he peed on me. And I knew something was wrong. And what's interesting is that it impacted me for the rest of my life, one-time event, and it wasn't violent and it wasn't harmful, and yet it impacted me and for the whole rest of my life, as it does most women. And I did a lot of therapy and counseling on that. When I actually lost my virginity, I wasn't drunk, but I was done with being a virgin. I wanted to get laid, and we were at a party, and the boy was like my age, and maybe we were drinking a little bit, but I ended up being on top of him and bouncing up and down, and I didn't feel anything. And I looked at him, I said, "Is this fun for you? Are you enjoying this?" He went, "Not really." I said, "Neither am I." And so we stopped.
That's great.
We stopped. And it was then later, within being like a junior, senior in high school, that I then found a more mature man, meaning probably in his late 20s. And I managed to seduce him to seduce me. So I never really had a fear of sexuality either. I think it comes from many, many lifetimes of being in the field of sexuality. Yeah. And when we were done with the consummation, I realized all the things he could have done different to have made it really special for me. And I ended up writing him kind of this prose letter. And to this day, I give him a benefit because he read it and he said, well, besides it was a little dramatic, he said, "You're right. I could have done those things." And I bless him to this day because he honored something that I knew naturally. And rather than making himself right and having his ego in it, he actually supported me. Wow. So, and I did a lot of therapy because that thread of molestation or rape goes throughout our lives. And the therapy I do with women who have had some form of rape or molestation, it has to be dealt with. Because if it's not, the innocent husband, the innocent boyfriend, at some point they are referred to as being oversexed, or all you want is sex. And after they're married, committed, after they have babies, oftentimes they will close their sexuality down, and the men they're with have no idea why. And the thread goes back to the rape or the molestation.
That's exactly what happened in my scenario. So same thing. So I was molested by my father when I was probably between 11 and 13. I don't have all the exact memories. I just have certain memories of it, but all of it was there. So lots of therapy and all of that. And my first sexual experience was a rape. So like you, I was drunk. I was with a bunch of friends, and this boy was like, everybody else was in the bedroom with their boyfriend, and I didn't have a boyfriend. And he was a prominent football player.
Oh,
and I remember him saying, "Put your hand on my chest." And he was like the popular guy. And I didn't have a boyfriend. And it was like, and he said, "Put your hand on my chest." And then he started to kiss me, but I was too drunk. And he carried me into the bedroom. I wanted to wait until I was married. That was how I was raised. And then, you know, he locked the door and all my friends were trying to get in. And I just remember the pain. And that was my first experience. But even outside of that, I didn't have, even from the molestation and the rape, I tended to go over sexual. I didn't have the fear. But then fast forward, to marriage, that's exactly what happened. I ended up getting married at 23, and it absolutely stopped in the bedroom, and it was causing all these problems. And he's like, "What is it? You need to get therapy for this." And that's what finally had me go in. And I spent lots of years because he didn't know what was going on.
You never communicated to him.
Right.
I did. Well, he knew. He knew, and I knew the experience, but we were so young, we didn't know how it would impact a sexual relationship.
Right.
And like it was coming up. So you just don't know. Nobody talks about it.
Right.
Wow. You said something that struck a chord for me. And that was, you didn't have a fear of it. You kind of over
Over-sexualized.
you know, over-sexualize it.
Yeah, I was very promiscuous.
And I was in that, but it was almost like a dark and a light. Like I was, but like on the family side of it, there was so much shame around it and so much hush hush that, you know, it's like good girl, bad girl.
Oh yeah.
You know, you really start living that duality, and then that's where the shame starts entering in on the society and the family part of it. And then for Dave and I, the religious, that whole paradigm, and that was, you know, we really look at, after going through the Kwadoshka exercises and all of that, it brought it out. I could start seeing it was in one of the exercises, and it just like started threading back for me. And I could see the shame and shame. And then Dave and I were talking about it, and we realized really our marriage was out of shame. And
what an amazing revelation.
It was That's huge revelation. And it's just, it's huge. Like, wow. It just kind of blew my mind.
Well, and the Kwadoshka work, I've done the Kwadoshka 1, and I'll have to say one of the activities in that was, and I just did that about 3 years ago, and one of the activities was reliving an experience, and I had the best partner, and I actually got to heal that first sexual experience, and it was really beautiful. I remember wearing a white like sundress, and my partner, and we were like under a tent, we were pretending like we were at home, and we were teenagers, and I had never had a man just like adore me, and it was like we kissed like we were teenagers, and we were fumbling around like, you know, of course we didn't have intercourse, but it was this experience of being cherished and adored in that moment, and that healed that experience for me immensely, which is why I'm so appreciative of the work and years you've put in to heal their marriage after 30-some years, and that experience. It's amazing.
So one of the things that we're talking about, the fear, is that because the statistics say 1 out of every 3, I personally look at statistics, it's more like 1 out of every 2 women have had some kind of rape, molestation, some kind of harm done to them around the privacy of their body and around sexuality. So one of the first things for a woman to even have an inkling of freedom is that she has to feel safe with the man that she's with. She has to know that the man is not a perpetrator, that the man has provide and protect. And when a man appreciates a woman, even a young man has a girlfriend and like loves her, and even if it's a puppy love, that instinct is in him to provide and protect her. And so one of the things that a lot of men don't understand is that when we feel protected by them, it makes all the difference in the world for us to open and give ourselves to them and be sexual. But when that same protector gets pissed off, raises his voice, gets angry, and even doesn't have anything to do with us, the energy in the room, he becomes the tiger in the room.
Yes.
We now instantly go into fear because men, even the same size, the same age, the same build, are stronger than we are.
Well, they're predators. We're prey. I mean, in a sense,
That's
in our
our
society,
fear.
we're prey.
That is our fear.
It is.
Yeah. So one way that we deal with that, or that I've dealt with it, is I did martial arts training, and I went to the mat. It was rape awareness, self-defense, and I actually worked privately for 3 years. One lesson a week. And I mean, when we went to the mat, I was black and blue, and I took punches because I missed a block. And I also became a competitive handgun shooter. And so I have a concealed carry permit. And bottom line is, physically, I can take care of myself. I can not only take care of myself. If anyone came into this room, I could also protect all of you. And I'm willing to do that because I've challenged myself. Whose life is more important? So one of the ways that women can heal themselves when they have had sexual abuse, it's actually to learn some physical skill. I'm not saying that they have to learn how to shoot. That's definitely a choice, although it's a good one. But to learn self-defense, to take a rape awareness self-defense course, so that they have in their being, no one is ever going to do that to me again.
That's
agreed.
And that makes a huge difference. Then they can become more free to dress sexual and to flirt and to be in their feminine energy, which attracts men.
Exactly.
And they don't have to be afraid because they can kick ass if they need to.
I love that. I never thought about that. That somebody who is, dressing very more masculine or withdrawn or just in clothes that are kind of closed up, that they're trying to protect themselves.
They could be.
Yeah.
I mean, it may be just that's what they like to wear.
They don't feel confident.
Since 1 out of every 2 women, 3, we're dealing with rape or molestation, how they walk. And we know that. If you walk with your shoulders down, if you're fumbling with your phone, if you're walking from the mall to your car and your energy is down, you're a walking target.
It's rape awareness. It's totally, and I thank you for bringing that up because that is one way to get empowerment over that. And I've done self-defense too, the rape awareness, because you do. I mean, I couldn't protect myself with a weapon right now, but it was that victim mentality. And it's still to this day, I use those techniques, looking underneath the car, how you carry your keys, how you walk. Because I mean, I don't know the statistics, but if you don't walk like you're prey, you're not. Bottom line is rapists look for a woman who's going to be easy to get.
That's
and there's plenty of them out there. So that's a great point.
So I would also believe when you feel safe and secure yourself, like you said, then you're more willing to dress sexy and do that type of stuff. But I imagine then you're also willing to open up sexually more so.
Yes, because of the confidence that you have. So let's talk about, feeling sexy, because we women have such a critical brain. I'm not going to say mind, because the brain is in the body and the body is in the mind. We're not talking about the mind. The brain is so critical. And a man could say, "You're so beautiful." And we say thank you externally and internally. We go, but
all the time.
I'm not big enough here. I'm too big here. I'm not. So we have this incredibly negative self-talk that we have to challenge. We have to challenge it. And there's God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So there are things we can change, and maybe we need help in doing that. And there are other things we can't. I'm 5'2". I will never be 5'4". I am 5'2". So,
And I'm curvy. I'll never be.
and I love being curvy. So it's just important that we understand that who we are as women, and that we are so beautiful. And men look at us like Mother Nature. Would you ever tell a man, don't look at a lightning storm, don't look at a rainbow? Mother Nature is too beautiful. Stop admiring. Stop Googling over this amazing mountain.
They're in awe of the feminine.
Oh, yes, I know. You guys are just like, I feel like I'm getting a lesson right now. Dave does this all the time. He's always telling me how beautiful I am. And I do that.
The inner dialogue discounts it.
It does. And I don't like that I do that, but I'm like, why can't I just accept it?
Because you're a woman. And somehow, when we're born, we're not born with self-confidence. We're born with being self-critical. And so men say what they mean and they mean what they say.
Yep.
Where we women, when we say something, we may or may not mean it. How are you? I'm fine. We're not fine.
No.
So when Dave tells you that, take a breath and really look into his eyes, see the truth of what he is saying, and just say thank you. And you might find that you even take a breath with that. But you need to see the truth, because in his eyes, not your eyes, in his eyes, you are beautiful.
I gotta tell you, the Kwadoshka actually helped me heal in that in a lot of ways. Because I was in this atmosphere and we were doing these different exercises, and we were doing them with different guys. It wasn't Dave and I all the time. We chose to do these exercises with other people.
So I just want to say, in Kwadoshka, if a couple comes monogamous, they have a choice to work in monogamy. The two of you chose to work the exercises with other people, and that was honored.
Yes.
That's good. Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that. So we chose to do that. And it was by hearing from the other men, you're so beautiful. You're so beautiful. Yes. And I'm just like, I think I can start believing this. Because I don't want to discount my husband, but it's like when you start hearing it from all angles, you're like, okay, I think I can believe this. Isn't that weird?
Well, I mean, you're getting validation for that, but it's not weird at all, because it feels good. But I think if we go back to something you said earlier, that critical brain that's in our head, and I think one thing I've taken on is, and I do it too, it's like we're self-degrading. And, like people will say, oh, that outfit's so cute. And I'll always go, oh, yeah, I got that at Ross. And it's like, no, stop that. So one thing I've started to do with other women is when I hear them cut themselves down, I say, stop that. And then I make a request, and I'm like, I request that you do the same thing to other women. Yes. Because I do it and do it to me if I cut myself down. Because at the end of the day, we're seeking that validity from someone else, when what I would love to see is for you to look in the mirror and see your own beauty. This beautiful woman who's birthed 3 beautiful human beings in the world. This woman who makes a difference in the offices that you work at. You're like the most amazing partner. Their marriage is so inspiring. You are the strength of your family. Like, your beauty, you're gorgeous, you're fit, you're fun, you have a smile. And, and then if men add to that cup and you're pouring over from their accolades, but you feel that beauty from within, then it's even juicier. The thing is, that brain, we don't do that, so, but you're gorgeous. And I want you to see that,
to hear. And I will do this. I'll be in a grocery store someplace and I see a woman and she's absolutely beautiful. For whatever reason, I will go up to her and I will say, I just want to let you know you are the most beautiful young woman. And for another woman to compliment a woman, we tend to hear it better. When a man tells us, it's this, like he just wants to get into my pants.
Exactly.
Right?
And they do.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with it. Yay, man, don't give up on us. Bring it on. But I like what you said, for us women to support each other and to, pass it forward so that we can learn to, and as we age, You know, you two shared, may I?
Yes.
You two shared that you're turning 50.
In a week.
You know, yeah, happy birthday. And I shared that in April, I turned 70.
Oh, you're stunning.
You
You're
know,
just stunning.
And lots of orgasms,
Oh.
you know, keeping lots of
See,
intimacy in your life. So, and the key to that is when we look at ourselves, we are going to age.
Yeah.
You know, one thing with our makeup on and, you know, and our hair all done, but wake up with me in the morning, you know, and it's like, or after I've scrubbed my eyes and take my makeup off, you know, so it's like, as long as my makeup is on, I know you think I'm attractive. That's not true.
Yeah.
That's another lie.
Yeah.
Who we are as women. So we talked about, as women, can we be in our feminine? Because as women, we're required to be out there in the work field to earn a living, to create our own 401k, you know, our own retirement. And how do we do all of that? And we need to pick up our masculine side, you know, which is a go-getter. But then how do we embrace the beauty and the softness and the feminine energy, which is so attractive to men? So when a man is attracted to us, we're in our feminine, we're not in our masculine.
Yeah.
But how do we embrace this? This is my question, because this happened today, right? Because, you know, I have my off days too, and it's like not feeling your best. And I'm like, oh, I don't feel sexy. I don't know what I'm going to wear. I don't feel you know, that conversation.
Yeah.
And, you know, worrying about what to wear for a birthday party. And my friend said to me, he goes, because my thought was, okay, it shouldn't matter what dress I'm wearing. And because then I'm looking for that from the dress. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'll go call somebody who'll make me feel good. No, because then I'm getting it from them. Then I get compliments from him. So it's like, how do I generate it and cultivate it myself? And do you know what he said? This is why I love the masculine so much. I'm in that feminine swirl. And he just looked at me and he said, well, what if it doesn't matter what you're wearing? I mean, what if it doesn't matter any of that? What if, he goes, you're loved, you're supported, you're making a difference in the world. And that's what's beautiful. And I just went, God, I love the masculine.
Oh, that is
like that, you know?
And you accepted it. See, you were in your feminine. What tells me you were in your feminine is because you couldn't figure out what to wear.
Yes.
When we're in our masculine, we just go to the closet, we pull it out, we put it on. But when I want to give myself the feminine, I have to give myself 2 hours to get dressed. I'm trying on different things because on any given day, what I try on, how does this make me feel? Does this give me confidence? Do I feel beautiful in what I'm wearing? This same outfit may not make me feel that way tomorrow or later tonight. So the feminine needs more time. When we're in the house, it's really good if we're married, our man leaves the house and we're there by ourselves all day, because we'll start a little project here and a little project there, and we'll meander here and meander there. And it's not that we're not getting anything done, we're just doing it the feminine way. If I'm in my masculine, it is like, stay out of my way. I've got this article to write. I have this dinner to prepare.
That's great.
I have this to do. And I'm in my masculine. And my husband will go, whoa, you know, I got to leave the space because there's no woman home.
So my question for you is, how do we balance that? So, you know, as an entrepreneur, you know, I'm an entrepreneur, and it's like, so it's a huge compliment that you said I'm in the feminine, because I've been in the masculine for so long. So now my struggle is, I just want to be feminine and juicy and orgasmic and orgastic all the time. And I still need to pay the bills and do my 401k.
Right.
401k. So how do we do both?
Well, we all do both. Men at times will step into their feminine side, and they'll be very nurturing, and they'll take care of their babies, or they'll be doing the cooking. There's a soft energy to them, but it doesn't negate their masculinity. So we chose to be in the feminine gender. Our soul chose to be in this. So it is our naturalness. And when we're out because I also completely, you know, I run my own business. I run two businesses.
Easier with age or time?
Yes, it does. And when we really honor the feminine, when we really embrace our receptivity, and when we accept the gift when a man helps us or offers to help us, instead of saying, no, I can do this, we say, thank you, I appreciate it. There are other times when I have groceries, right?
Yeah.
And they're heavy. And I work out. Girls,
Yeah.
I'm working out
Right.
5 days a week. If I'm coming out of Costco with all these heavy things, I will look to see a man going by and I'll say, excuse me. And I'll say, if you don't have a bad back or bad knees, because even if he does, if I ask him, he's going to help me.
Right.
So I have to give him an excuse to take care of
Yes.
himself, a way
That's
out.
good.
That's
If
good.
you don't have a bad back or bad knees, would you be my hero?
Oh,
would
that's
you
a
help
great
me?
line. Would you be
Oh,
my hero?
wow. I
That's
love it.
good.
Because men want to be our
They do
heroes.
want to be our
It is
heroes.
in their DNA to want to help us and support us,
Yes.
even a stranger.
Yeah.
And then that reminds me that I can ask for help, and then when he helps me, I go, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And opening the door, thank you. I appreciate you opening the door for me. So men thrive on being respected and being complimented,
Yeah.
being appreciated.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Smiling at them,
Yeah.
pretty smile, and
Yeah.
appreciating them.
Yeah, and
That's great.
if we're afraid of men, and if we're afraid of showing that we're feminine and that we actually need them, men need to be needed. There's nothing, ladies, there's nothing
Yeah.
worse than what our culture has done to us. We're supposed to be self-sufficient, change our own tires, have a career, support ourselves
Yeah.
totally. We can hire anyone. So we say to our men, see how efficient I am, see how competent I am. Aren't I the perfect mate for you? And he goes, you don't need me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they shut down because
they
where's
shut
their
down.
place?
Right.
And I think in a lot of ways, Dave and I functioned that way. It was almost like a competition of I can work as much as you can work. And really we were running these two very masculine energies.
Right.
And it like switched. And I am like, it's like, I don't want to be there anymore. You
That's
know,
wonderful.
Because you found a
Yeah.
lot of orgasm.
yeah, right.
I think so. I think that's what's done
Wait,
with
say
her.
that louder.
I said, I think because she's found a lot of orgasm.
Yes.
Well, in a way, I know you
Yes.
and I know your history.
Yeah.
You've stepped into your sexuality. You've stepped
I
into
did.
your feminine.
Mhm.
You had that armor on you before, and
Yeah.
you look. You've done the work.
I did.
You have done the work, and now you're comfortable in that.
Yeah.
You're exploring it. You're seeking
Mhm.
out work like the Kwadoshka, and that's what I think is missing for women. It's like we were talking
You're
about
right.
fear to freedom, you know, and where sexy is along that way. So it's made a difference. You even
Yeah.
look younger.
Thank you.
I think so.
Well, the more orgasms you have,
Right.
the younger
exactly,
you are,
you know?
and that you feel.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for me, it seems like functioning in the feminine, all of a sudden, it's like changing the dynamics. And it's like Dave just steps up in a way that he's never, like, I haven't seen at least in a long, long time. And I am having to just like surrender to some of that. And
That's
it's
beautiful.
safety that's there.
Mhm.
And worship between us, and it's beautiful.
It is a
It is.
reflection of the balance of the masculine and the feminine,
Yeah,
and actually how we are supposed to live together. It's absolutely exhausting when a woman is too much in her masculine or a man is too much in his feminine. It's exhausting and it castrates the man. And for us, it's at the end of the day, it's like we fall into bed because we're exhausted rather than being in our feminine and pacing it differently, making choices. I decided not to work with any clients today because I knew I was going to need at least 2 hours of trying on different outfits.
right.
But, so there are times when we've got to really honor the feminine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It is how Great Spirit created us. And to be free. So I still, at 70, I almost said 60, 70, I am still saying, how can I be more free in the bedroom? How can I be more free with my sexual life force energy? And we are mentioning the Shulakoi Kwadoshka. I was one of the I was the second woman in this body of knowledge to learn how to do what's called fire breath. And that's breathe your body, bringing the energy up the chakra lines, and breathe your body into this really intense orgastic expression, non-genital full body. And in learning that energy, I learned that there are implosive orgasms, there's explosive orgasms. My body wanted to shift and move. And so understanding the importance of being feminine, still accomplished, embracing our masculine energy when we need to. So what I suggest to my clients, the women, have a little goddess statue. So when you walk through the door, you stop, you touch her, you know, you acknowledge, you go home, change your clothes, get out of your work clothes, put on something. I don't care if it's baggy sweatpants and a shirt that you leave half unbuttoned and take your bra off. Men love it. You know, get the bra off, ladies. The men love it.
I just want to do it. Take your panties off. It's like free.
Yeah, there you go.
Work it. Give them something to think about.
Right.
And it doesn't mean you're going to jump into bed.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's sex. So it's important for us to heal ourselves of any abuse so we can be sacred and sexual. And it doesn't mean we're going to just go and always be having intercourse. Sex is much bigger than that.
So let me ask you, so all that's brilliant. So here's what I think we should speak about, going way back to balancing the masculine and feminine, because you know the coaching clients that I work with are just in the very beginning stages.
Right.
They're just really discovering. They're afraid of sexuality. Naughty is sometimes too big of a word for them. You know, freaky, any of that. So even though I love the spiritual sexual work and sacred sexuality, I strive to be the bigger space for them to step into. So you know, there's a lot of struggle with how to actually rewire your brain and redo that. So those were really great examples, you know, and it'd probably be a whole nother episode to talk about the masculine and feminine, switching that. Because how do you undo 20 years, 30 years in that marriage? It takes something.
It's hard.
It's really hard.
But I got to tell you, it's been a long time since like I cooked. Like Dave had been doing a lot of the cooking. So he was like, so I could do the work. It's like, honey, I got to work. He's like, okay, fine, I'll cook. So he was starting to cook most of the meals. And then I just decided to make a switch that I didn't want to function this way anymore. And I wanted to feel more feminine. And when I started like cleaning the house, like taking the time, I'm like, okay, I want to do this for myself because I actually feel sexier like taking care of the house and cooking the meals. And he comes home and he's like, where's my wife?
We love it.
But it makes
She's
me
transformed into a goddess.
But it makes me feel like because you're feminine,
but this is your space. This is your home. You know, you're women nest and it's yours, and you make it homey and you do all that. And you know, it's so funny. I'm so glad you brought that up because you know, I'll see both men and women, and the men will come in, and I'm telling you, one of their biggest complaints is my wife doesn't cook and she doesn't clean our house. And he's like, I just want to come home to a clean house, you know, even if they're both working and providing. So then the woman will come in separately. Well, I don't know what to do. I'm like, well, why don't you cook him dinner? Why? I'm like, just cook and clean. And they're like, but that's so easy. Why does he need that? And I'm telling you, they will start doing that. And then the men will come back in, and it almost like the peacock feathers. They're like, yeah, it just, I don't understand it. Maybe you could speak more of the masculine on that, but they love it.
So in that, our DNA from cave woman, and our DNA has not changed that much since caveman and cave woman. Cave woman. The cave was hers. And the babies in the cave were hers. And she could be a mama cougar if she needed to. But her DNA is to nurture the babies and please. She needed to please her caveman so that he didn't go to Sally's cave 4 doors down. So that pleasing. And there is a natural desire for us to please our men, which is why we'll turn ourselves into a pretzel in order to please our men, where the DNA of the man is to provide and protect. Okay? And so with us, and I'm going to give a little different twist. My husband and I love a clean house. And he's retired. I say I'm about as retired as I can be, still working full time. And we both love a clean house. And we spent we've hired people to clean the house, and then we didn't like how they did it. And then he and I would take a Saturday on a weekend and we would do it together and divide it. And that was good. And then we stopped doing that. And I just said, enough. I'm just going to pay to have someone come in and clean our house once a week, every Friday. And it was a friend, so it also supported and helped our friend. So in that, because I am right now working so much more than he is, he actually started cooking dinner.
That's great.
Yeah.
And in that, I didn't feel guilty. I'm sitting there. I'm still on the computer. I'm doing whatever I need to do. I'm working with a client. He's figuring out dinner in between. So in a way, it's a role reversal. And I so compliment him on the food. It's like, oh my gosh, this is the best, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is, because it is.
You're appreciating it.
And I'm appreciating him.
Yes.
So what my husband said, there's only 3 things he needs. And I would think most men listening to this will agree with this. Only 3 things. He needs me to love him. He needs me to make love to him. And he needs me to respect him. You know, and in that it's show appreciation. He doesn't need me to clean the house. He doesn't need me to cook. He doesn't need me to wash clothes. There's a lot of things he doesn't need for me to do. Love me, make love to me, huge. You know, respect me, appreciate me.
So don't you think, though, then that's a great point, because that's where you look at. Everybody has the masculine and feminine in
That's
them.
right.
And so you found a way. I don't even think that's generational. There are young people. It's like if he prefers, we all step into our masculine or feminine. It's a matter of negotiating what works.
That's right.
And you negotiated it, it works, and
Right.
you probably get to make love now on Friday afternoons. At least you have more time to.
We get to make love many, many days because we're not in dissonance with each other. We're not happy with each other. And so, and that changes. Because there was a time when I was doing all the cooking and he hates the way I wash dishes. So he was washing dishes, you know, or we put it in the dishwasher. So in any relationship, no matter how young or how old the couple or how long or short they've been together, communication, good agreements, renegotiate, be willing to let what you've done die so you can be more free, because we're actually talking about not just freedom of sexuality, we're talking about freedom of spirit.
Yes.
And we have to give ourselves permission to have freedom of spirit.
Yeah.
Sounds
And
good.
that means not license, but it means assuming the responsibility and being spiritually accountable for ourselves and speaking to our partner.
Ooh.
And that's the scariest thing.
Yeah.
Ooh, wait.
Okay, go.
Spiritually accountable. Like, just what is that? Say more on that.
Definitely.
Well, first of all, what does it mean to you to be spiritually? Because it hits you. So what does spiritual accountability mean?
Well, for me, I think it means taking responsibility for who I am as a human being and my human journey, and being the best human that I can be. And what that means is dealing with my egos, dealing with my triggers, and continually striving to be the best person that I can be, and just and also bringing a lot of compassion to somebody else. So my spiritual accountability to myself is to be my best person, to never arrive. I never, ever want to arrive. And I want to continue to push that, grow myself in that way and be that space for the other person to show up.
I think that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I would say it's that willingness to not always be right. Right? And to do your work, to go and do your inner work, and to love. And allow the other one to be your mirror for you.
Yes.
So that you can grow in that.
What does it mean to you?
There's such a simple saying from what you said. Do you want to be happy? Or do you want to be right?
Yeah.
And there are times I have to ask that of myself. So I would say that the two of you defined it actually very well. First of all, we have to be connected to something higher than ourselves. We have to have a relationship with spirit by whatever name you call it. Yahweh, Jesus, Buddha, Ishtar, whatever you call it, Great Spirit, Wakantanka. And so we have to have a spiritual relationship and to be spiritually accountable. Our soul chose to be here on this planet to evolve and to grow. And we are actually, that's our purpose, to gain pleasure and knowledge. And we can bring it right down to just those 2 things. And my teacher, Thunder Strikes, said that we want to gain pleasure first and knowledge second. Because if we were just going for knowledge, and it was never any fun, and we never had any pleasure, how long are we going to keep up with that?
Yeah.
We aren't. And through pleasure, and he meant literally through heightened states of orgasticness, we can tap into other dimensional realities.
Yes.
We can go into fourth dimension. We can step into the morphogenetic field, and we can access true knowledge and have it flow right down into our 10th chakra, all the way down into our being. And we gain knowledge. And whoever told you that by having a really good sexual session, something magical can happen, something that connects you, like quantum physics can happen, and answers to your problems can come through us. And that is also being spiritually accountable. There is always more to learn.
It's so
And you said that. There's always more to learn.
Yeah, there is. And you know what you just said there, it's like, so you get all that pleasure, and then what do you do with it? So I would add to that purpose. It's pleasure, knowledge, and purpose. So I think for me, spiritual accountability is stepping into who I am and why I'm here and why I came, and being in this space, and what am I going to create on this planet, and what am I going to leave?
Yes.
Because, that's why I'm even doing this. It's like, I want people to have full sexual expression and full freedom wherever they are on the spectrum of sexuality. And that's required me to push myself. So I think there is a spiritual accountability, because we're all in this interaction to each other. So that's I'm so using that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It is very, very good. I walk the talk, right?
Yeah, we walk the talk.
That's what it comes down to.
So let's ask her about being 50. Because now I'm like, I just want to pick her brain.
I agree.
Menopause.
We're tracking the same place. So both Lori and I are going on our 50. Her a little bit older than me.
Hey, stop it! Stop it!
By like 2 months.
days?
Not very much.
But I mean, help us.
Yeah, help us. So here's my experience. So my whole thing is being sexy, and I have felt sexy. I love sexy. I love the vibration, all of it. And then sometime last year, it's gone. And I'm like, I can't figure out what it is. And I just thought it was this circumstance and that circumstance. And so recently I went to the naturopath, and she's like, oh, your hormones, you're officially in menopause, which was relief. Someone finally said it, because I embrace it. The journey from now on, you're inspiring me in that. And she's like, okay, so I'm getting all the physical stuff done, but so does it come back? Like, no one in my family will talk about this.
Oh.
So there's no female, anywhere for us to go. And they don't care.
No clue.
They're like, no, I don't ever want to have sex again, and this and that. And I'm listening to you going, oh, that's what I want. So
wonderful.
What happens?
Okay, so there is the natural thing that happens when we lose 80% of our hormones over like a 2-year period. From perimenopausal, menopause, we're over it, and we no longer have our moon cycle, our bleeding. So one of the freedoms of that is we can't get pregnant now.
Yeah.
Because again, cave woman, if you can get pregnant, you could die, because death in childbirth is still in our DNA. So the knowledge that you no longer can get pregnant actually can be a flag of freedom that allows us now to engage. So that's one thing. The other thing is, the largest sex organ we have is our state of mind. When the hormones change, now I did choose to go on hormone replacement therapy.
I did,
But it's bioidentical. I love who I've been working with. My husband went on it, and it's the most natural thing. It does not make me horny, though.
Oh, really?
It does not.
I wanted it
no.
to. Oh.
What makes you horny is your state of mind.
Oh, okay.
And your ability to flirt. And your ability to remember that our sexuality and our genitals are no different than our liver, our heart, our kidney. Everything is supposed to work until everything stops working.
Okay, I get all that, and I appreciate it, and I talk it, but now I'm living it. It's like, and maybe it's the stage I'm in, because my body's going through so much change, and then just shifting so much. I love flirting, and I love doing all that, but I'm struggling with
the physical. So when my husband and I met, I told him, I said, listen, I'm going through menopause. I don't know where it's going to take me. And I'm going to be honest with you. If I don't feel like making love, I'm going to say, I don't feel like making love, and let's go make love.
Oh yeah, just do it anyway.
Just do it anyway.
Okay,
And it may be the first 10 minutes we are foreplay, we're doing all that, and my body is like totally disconnected, totally asleep. And then we actually might even be moving into intercourse, right? It even gets that far. And I have a lube in arm's reach. Every room, there's lube. Don't it's just bottom line. So we're actually in intercourse. We may be in 10 minutes into the lovemaking, and all of a sudden my body goes, oh, I know what you want to do. And then the passion would rise, and, and the tiger in the tank. And all of a sudden I'm making passionate love with my husband. And I said, I have no idea where that energy came from. He says, so who cares? It doesn't matter where it came from. It happened. So it took 10 minutes, and then it was 8 minutes, then it was 5 minutes, then it was within a few minutes. Educating my husband by sharing what I needed. I need to be petted. I need to cuddle. Caress me. And at first it's like, okay, here's another clue. Us women, different than men, do not go to our pussy and our breast first. Do not go to Miss Kitty and breast first and nipples no. Touch. We're outboard, outboard, in, a little over, and then the feet. If the feet are clean, suck on the toes, massage the feet. Outboard, working in. A woman's body will open naturally. The legs will open. It's not that we're going to get wet.
Yeah.
We're not going to get wet per se unless you naturally get wet, and then it might be less than, but that's where the lubricant is there. Then you can invite him. Then he will see that your body is flushy and your body is open. And then the other thing that we need, and this comes from our dear friend Laura, who did this wonderful video.
She's great.
Laura Doe, and there are sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves in our vagina, and one set of nerves is let's rev them up. It's like fight, flight,
right.
And the other set of nerves is meditation, quiet. In any lovemaking session, our vaginal walls, our sympathetic, parasympathetic nerves need to be gently aroused, softly, like blow on me. Purr into me until I rev up. When I start revving up, then I want the energy, I want the passion, I want the ravage. Okay, back off too much. Now relax. So by actually learning the anatomy of the vagina, it helps us to understand when we actually do get engorged and we do get turned on. And a key, ladies, is your brain. You have to have an erotic library in your head.
Okay, but you're totally right. But I want to distinguish something that you said, and that's the difference between desire and arousal. And I think that's what you were talking. That's really what you touch on. So I think it's important for women to understand. Like in that case, your body was able to get aroused. So a lot of women will come to me and they'll say, "Oh, I just don't want it anymore," or any of that. So I'll ask them,
But they're stopping it. They're stopping themselves because they're saying they don't have desire, so they're not. And So it was interesting.
It's different. I think you have to look at the difference because you're not going to always, like at this stage in life, that desire isn't there like it used to be. So you don't have the desire, but I can still get aroused, which speaks to what you're saying is you just go in the bedroom anyway, because over time that does, you start to get aroused and then the desire comes. But they're two different things. And I think it's important for women to understand that because if you literally cannot get aroused, that might be a physical problem and you need to see what's going on there.
So it's very important because with menopause, the clitoris becomes, I'd say, slightly numb. It doesn't hold the sensitivity. The vaginal walls can actually dry out. And so there is, through prescription, you can also do like an estradiol. That is a cream that you can massage into the vagina and it soaks up and it keeps the walls nice and pliable. But if you don't use them, you lose them. So even if you're single, you can use a dildo and you can keep the vagina walls nice and pliable and comfortable. But if you don't use them, the same thing with a man. If he doesn't use it, he loses it. And this is true. Now, with time, the desire and the arousal, I mean, I can just think of my lover and my womb just visualizing him, and my womb starts moving, and I start thinking of, oh my gosh, just to have him send his energy to me, to barely touch me, and my body is totally aroused. And the same thing with my husband, because I am in a committed, open relationship. And so with my husband, if I visualize, he has got the most beautiful body, and his male package is like, love it, makes my mouth water. And if I imagine, but see, most of us, because of how we were raised in our religion, the things we've talked about, we won't even imagine that. We think it's wrong and bad. We've been taught it's sinful. It's not. It is that library in our head connecting us to the beauty of the masculine. And when a man wants us and we feel wanted and desired by him, just knowing I'm desired, my body starts awakening and turning on. So the arousal took me a little while when I went through menopause. It took me 10 minutes. So I wasn't starting aroused. You know, with hormones, you start horny and you're looking, how can I get laid? You know? Exactly. And as you mature, it's not about that. It's, I need to make love because it's good for me. Apple a day keeps the doctor away. An orgasm a day keeps me young. And in the process of doing that, then the state of mind and to feel our body aroused. I mean, go any place and just look at a gorgeous man or a gorgeous woman and imagine making love to them. Most people won't do that. I am always doing that.
Well, that's my whole thing is make love to life. I make love to food. Yes. I truly, it's like, and it's taken years because I didn't do this for a long time, but it's like you make love to the moment. You make love to the person at the register that you're talking to the food that you buy.
Unconditional loving.
It's being present.
Yeah.
Is what it is. It's really
very good.
Practicing being present.
Yes. And giving yourself permission. We have to. It's not about church giving us permission or our parents. It's nobody giving us permission. We have to give ourselves permission to be feminine, to be sexual, to be aroused, to enjoy intimacy. Even if we age to the point where we are not having intercourse, maybe there's medical reasons. That does not mean we cannot still be orgasmic and have orgasms, and that we cannot cuddle and be intimate. And it feels so good to be massaged and touched.
Oh, touch is beautiful.
No matter our age.
I have to tell you something funny because you were talking about how wonderful your husband's penis is. You've probably seen this. Do you know that you can clone a willy? There's actually a company called Clone a Willy where you can actually get, it's a sex positive company out of Portland. Yeah, and you buy a kit. This might be a fun thing for you guys to do. I heard
plaster of Paris because you can do that to the woman.
You get the whole kit. And then you actually, a man obviously has to be erect, and there's one for the pussy too, but I didn't hear how that one went. But you can actually clone his penis. And so you get the kit, and when he's erect, you actually, they have all the stuff. I don't know what it's made out of. And then anyway, the feedback is, it's like exquisite detail. And the women are like, oh my God, I have him. He's right there. So anyway, I just thought that little, levity to the moment, but like,
right, if you find one that fits.
Yeah, I haven't looked into what it would look like to do the female one. So,
well, there's a whole wall. I believe it's in France. A whole wall in a museum, in an art gallery, and they're all pictures of women's genitalia, and it was done plaster of Paris, so they're all real, three-dimensional. Absolutely.
Oh, three-dimensional?
Well, yes.
I had a friend
absolutely
do that.
Amazing. So toys are good,
yeah,
but the human touch is better.
Yeah.
There's some women who they've so trained themselves to the vibrator that they cannot have an orgasm unless they are using a vibrator. So I would invite those women. It's not that we're asking you to stop using the toys, and you still need the intimacy, the passion, and it would be really good if you want to use a vibrator, but some of the time use your own hand, explore your own body, discover how it is you can bring yourself to, and female ejaculation.
Yeah.
Like I am ejaculating more now.
Yes.
Now, even my ejaculations are easier than my clitoral orgasms.
Yeah. I think that's a rites of passage.
I do too.
I really do, because I couldn't do it in my 30s and 40s. It really just the last 6-7 years, and geez Louise. So I'm glad to know it gets better and more.
Right?
It can get better and more if we give ourselves the freedom, we give ourselves permission, and we break away the rules and the laws and the dogma, and telling us how we're supposed to be as we age, how we're supposed to be in this culture. We are sacred sexual human beings, and we need to be human beings, not humans doing. We need to be human beings.
Yes.
And I think that's another conversation. I follow Christian Northrup a lot too, and she talks about that aging like a goddess. And I'm catching myself, because I'm human, I'm fallible like everybody. And there's just generational conversations. It's like, oh, I'm 50 and I'm not going to have sex anymore. No, that's not true. Or, oh, you're getting married, you're not going to have sex anymore. That's not true. So, along with how women degrade themselves, that's another way I'm trying to pay that forward. So thank you for representing that, because, again, I work with people that are just going through the front door of sexuality. And in my circle, they're not having sex, they're sexless relationships and all that. So, but I have an aunt who's in her 60s, and her partner have the best sex. And she will always send me a note, and she'll say, we have great sex all the time. They're both fit, they're healthy, they're happy. And so I think, I love that you're out here talking about it. And I think that's where I want to do the work in the world, is no, it doesn't have to stop, and stop allowing people to say that it does.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I actually, like you, a lot of people who come through my door, they, no matter their age, they're hearing a lot of this for the first time. You're raised in their culture. I'm working with a couple, and they're in their 30s. And so the things I'm teaching them and educating them, they have never heard before. And so education is the key. Education for women, for men to understand how men, please remember, a woman needs to feel safe. Needs to feel safe.
It's that limbic system, which orgasmic meditation talks a lot about that. So it's the vigilance center in your mind. And I can't explain it enough to them, because if we don't feel safe, we literally cannot surrender. Because you're watching, you're protecting. And so but I protect her, I'll do any of that. And I think what they forget about is emotional safety.
Right.
Yes.
And what it means to be an intimate partner, and how to be there for her safely, emotionally.
It's a huge thing. When you can surrender, you go to a different level.
Totally
To a different level. Well, ladies, I think we could probably
talk
go
all day.
on for hours.
I could ask you a bazillion questions.
So I think we should, to end the show, I want to ask each one of you, if you could get one thing across to our viewers, what would it be?
What's coming to me in this moment is to just honor your path. Everybody, Ina's where she is, I'm where I am, Gayle is where she is. And I think what's possible is to just honor where you are and find compassion and seek to be the best person that you can be. And in the world of sexuality, what I would say is you have permission to feel good. You have permission to step into pleasure. You have permission to enjoy desire. And wherever you are, if that's a simple kiss, if that's the Kwadoshka, if that's polyamory, it's okay. We're here to have fun, and we're here to feel good, and we're here to have pleasure and desire. And so embrace that, honor it, step into it. And I think I would just say, make love to life. It's why we're here.
Yes. I love it.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Ina.
The physical body is the temple of the soul. And when our physical body gets sick, or when we discount the natural needs of our physical body, then we're really not honoring the fact that Great Spirit created this beautiful, beautiful mechanism for our soul to express itself and to learn through it. And so honor your physical, and let go of what you've been taught to discover truth. So become a seeker of truth. Attend different workshops, read different books, educate yourself so that you can awaken and truly allow this to be a temple until this physical temple is ready to release. And then your soul, awakened out of it, will journey on. And all that you have learned as a result of living in this physical body, be sacred, be spiritually accountable. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you,
Very
ladies,
beautiful.
so much. Beautiful, orgastic conversation.
Wow, beautiful.
I'm David Marsh, and you've been watching Exploring the Human Journey on YouTube as a video and listening as a podcast. If you would like to help continue the conversation, please consider supporting us by visiting patreon.com, where you can support us on a monthly basis and get extra bonus content. For as little as $1 a month, you can make this show sustainable and help continue spiritual consciousness. You can also help by following us on Facebook and Instagram. For more information about the show, find us online at exploringthehumanjourney.com.